almost time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge, it's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. So here we go, we're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everybody? Joe Everest, the fence expert, coming to you live from the West Coast Fence Show for the last live broadcast of the show, of the year of this show. Yeah, it's been a heck of a show. It's been incredible.
It has been.
Absolutely nuts. Guys, I know everyone associated with the fencing industry likely already knows you guys, but for like the two people at home that may not have met you, brief introduction.
Kent Bailey, Bailey Fence Company on the West Coast here out of San Francisco, and I'm the co-chair.
And he's the past president of the AFA.
There you go.
Brad Howard worked for SCS up in Seattle, current president of the AFA, and luckily enough to be his co-chair of this show for the last 3-4 shows.
Oh, wow.
This
Quite
is
a
our
while.
30th year doing this.
Yeah.
30th year.
And me and Ken have chaired the last 4 shows, I think.
It's kind of
What
funny.
a
because
deal.
We work separately together,
Oh, yeah.
but we think alike.
Okay.
So I think you get that.
Well, that works out. That
Yeah.
works out. Well, guys, I tell you what, I'd like your impressions of the show. I know Dan and I have talked a lot, on this show and just in person about our thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on the show?
Well, it's a labor of love for us for the last 4 shows. We really enjoy it. Since it's all volunteer, that's why it's every 3 years.
Yeah.
If not, I would be divorced. The hardest is the
Understood.
last 14 months. But what we do is it's the West Coast, and normally AFA and Fence Tech never came past the Rockies until it came to Salt Lake. So it's a chance for the West Coast to come together.
Yeah.
Also, it's the Peppermint Hill, beautiful place.
Great
They treat
place.
us really well. It's an inexpensive show, and
Yeah.
it gives the opportunity with the cheaper hotels, not just cheap hotels, but cheaper
Sure.
rooms.
Yeah.
Gives the opportunity for people to bring their workers with them.
Absolutely.
And they get to see what the industry is about.
Well, we saw that a lot today. I mean, yesterday also, but today specifically. I mean, you'd see groups of 8, 10 folks walking around with all
Crews.
Groups
Yeah.
of, and they all had the same fence company shirts on. You're like, oh, okay. These are guys that made the trip in, probably from somewhere in this region, to come for the weekend. I mean, one, great place to spend the weekend anyway. 2, it gets them involved in the industry at a different level than just being out in the field or being in the office. We saw that a lot.
I think it shows a lot of the guys that work outside that this is a profession, it is an industry, something to be proud of, and they see a different side of it. It's the glitz and the glitter and the lights,
Yeah.
but then they get to see the products and they get the network, which they know you don't do in your own company.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great mix also of national vendors, right? So we've got, just looking around, US Automatic, Nationwide, Controlled Product Systems, but also a lot of brands that are more regional, right? So you've got builders who I had heard of but not familiar with, being from Missouri, just outside their region, Pacific Wire, SCS, that groups that I knew SCS through you, Brad, but as a company in the Midwest, in Missouri, not super familiar. So it's also great. It's a great opportunity to maybe meet new brands, meet more local regional brands as well.
What's really nice too, this year, we used to hardly get any vendors from the other side of the Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
We had people out here from Florida this year.
Yeah.
The Italian guys came over would show off their wheels and their gate assemblies.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen more new people this year. We had 28 more booths this year than we did in 21.
Nice.
Which 21, we were just kind of coming out of COVID.
Yep,
A lot of the big companies weren't letting people travel yet.
Yep.
So, and then education this year, it's all free, as everybody knows.
Awesome.
We had 12 different classes. We had the golf tournament Friday, vendor appreciation party, and everything's free,
That's
except the
unreal.
golf.
Right,
Except
right,
the golf.
right.
And certification.
But
And certification and testing.
But
the
both are very
classes,
worth it.
The show's free. Rooms are $125.
It's hard to beat.
Yes.
Hard to
And
beat.
the food here, As me and you know, us, yeah.
Hey, don't put me in that category, Brad.
Oh, come on.
I keep telling Charlie with Fence News is right over here, a great guy. I'm still a 2X, so I'm holding on to that forever.
If we were here for another week, we would
Right,
not be.
week, but tomorrow morning I'll probably be struggling.
They would change that in a hurry. They would change that.
I
in
might
a
add to
hurry.
what Brad was saying, if I could jump on top of it. We had 26 states, 4 countries.
4 countries.
Vendors.
Nice.
Guys, let's put that in perspective. That, and I don't say this to diminish the show, but it's a regional show. So to hear 4 countries
That's awesome.
represented and a number of states that aren't even in this region represented at a regional show, I mean, hats off, right? I mean, I think that's making for an incredible show.
What's driving that? What would you say is driving that?
Know what it is? We do the show every 3 years. So Kent doesn't get divorced. We're all volunteers because it takes us 14, 15 months to do the show. So people are like, why don't you do it every 2 years? Well, that's the main reason. But every 3 years, it stays fresh.
Yeah.
People really look forward to it. They're like, hey, how come you're not doing this sooner? And I'm like, it's just worked for the last 30 years, so we're not going to change it.
Yeah, don't change it. You know, a little bit of it is probably the fear of missing out too. Because if you miss the show this year, you can't go until 2027. So you better be here, or else you're out of luck for the next 3 years.
I think a lot of it is too is the National Browns aren't national anymore. With the internet and the way that things are moved
Yeah.
around now, is that they want to expand in this market. Now they can afford to truck it here, so now they want to expand to it. And this is a good place to come to get as far west as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I've got to think, you know, for vendors, your dollar probably goes further at a regional show like this than it might at a larger show.
We
Like
see
you said-
vendors bringing more of their people to be in the booths.
Yeah,
Nationally, it's 2 or 3. Here's 5, 6, 7,
absolutely.
I mean, how many people do you have here, Kent, from Bailey Fence?
15.
15.
Wow.
Crusader Fence has
That's
got
awesome.
12. Bunch of other fences, 8, 9. They're bringing all their people, man.
Well,
Yes.
It's really great to see.
And SES is roughly like 400 or 500, I think. I'm rounding here, but based on the shirts and the hats I
Yeah.
saw.
I think we capped it at 28 this
Oh, okay,
year.
okay. I was a little off.
For a second there, I got pulled into their meeting. I was like, I felt like one of them, dude. I was like,
Hey, we get you a black shirt. You will.
I look good in black. It slims me down, Brad.
Yeah, I
Don't
know.
tempt me.
It's not working anymore, though.
But companies are able to be well represented at a show like this. And like I said, it wraps up on a Saturday. I mean, we're wrapping up actively here in just a little bit.
Oh, we got
So-
people trying to sneak out
Well,
behind us.
That's true. That's true. But so if you're staying the weekend though, that leads you Saturday evening and Sunday. Fly home Sunday, maybe. I mean, I've heard that plans by several folks.
Well, and it's basically kickoff of football too.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
as you've seen the sports book with the 86
Incredible.
huge TVs,
Incredible.
You got guys like somebody rooting for Nebraska over there.
the one,
But-
the only.
Hawkeyes are up, so that's everybody has peace of mind here. Hawkeyes
But
are up.
that's where everybody's going because all the big games are this
Yeah.
afternoon. So a lot of people, we got a routine like we'll pick a 4-team parlay in college.
Okay.
With like 4 of us each pick a team. We've been doing it for 10 shows, 30 years. We've never won, but it's always fun.
But
It's
if it
it's
does,
always one guy who picks the wrong.
If I
ruins
had to
it for
guess,
everybody.
Here we go.
There's always one guy in the friend group.
but if it hits, it
it hits.
really hits.
You say Monday.
Well,
Well, he would never live that down, would he? He would never.
guys, I want to say, I mean, on behalf of myself and Dan, I bet we are so appreciative that you guys brought us in on this show, that you guys just, I mean, open arms, just embraced us and let us run with the promotion that we did and bringing you guys on the show and running live shows here, recording podcasts from here.
Don't
Thank you
forget
so
the
much.
stage. We got you.
Thank you. Major thank you for this. It feels like the like a sports center, like ESPN Sports Center.
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
like elevated.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
there is where I'm at.
We'll have the big screen.
I know.
Dan, this will be a 15-minute argument. Dan's trying to tell people that I kicked him off the stage and sent him back in the corner. That's
You
what he's
did.
trying.
Next to the beer tent.
Don't you get in on this?
I can see the
I
stuff
did-
in the corner
I didn't
right
make
now.
him go. His table was right up here. He was up here. He went down there on his own accord.
There's a rumor that he stumbled over the bar.
Well, you know what? It is easier access to the bar, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
Don't give
I
away
know.
my secrets. Yeah.
Guys, I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean,
Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. It's been an incredible experience. I'm so glad. Brad, last night at dinner, you had asked me, what are your thoughts on the show? I wish I had come to the last show. I wish I had known about this show and come to this show, at least the last show, or however. I wish I would have come sooner, because I think this is such a great mix of new faces and not old faces, but faces you know and love. It's a great mix of contractors. It's an incredible mix of vendors. And guys, it's really well run.
Yes, it is.
From my perspective, and granted an outsider's perspective, this thing is run like a well-tuned machine.
We have an amazing committee, which we need to thank right now.
Absolutely.
We have the fancy titles of co-chair, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and all of them have been amazing.
A lot of very talented, committed people.
I'm sure it's one of those things that takes an army.
All 3 chapters, yeah.
Of volunteers.
I mean, all 3 chapters
volunteers.
split, go in and get the proceeds.
Yeah.
And that gives you extra money for scholarships, education. Yeah. Everything is given back to the chapters. I think we leave a few dollars in the West Coast Finch Show
for
account.
the next show, absolutely.
But this gives them extra money to go do more education, more training, and more events.
And I think that bears talking about for just a second. That the proceeds go to help the fence industry. So really, one of the stories of the show is fencers helping fencers, right? And future fencers, right? This whole thing, it's great to come. It's a blast to participate in, but also you get the feeling of being able to help others while doing all this.
Right.
So it's no matter how you cut it, it's a pretty solid story. It makes you feel good.
So you might want to tell everybody about this big contract we have here.
Well, so I want everyone, watching at home, if you're watching it live, go back to the replay, pause it to read this, because it's very intricate. There's a lot of just high-density content in here. Most of it, if not all of it, is not binding in any way. Actually,
or
all
legal.
of it is fairly, this thing is so far from legal, it's not even funny, but it has a spirit to it, right? So we've had a lot of fun with the Finch Show, with the West Coast Finch Show, and Brad, you had mentioned, you're like, you know what, we should sign a contract. We should keep you guys involved. And I was like, well, what would be funny is a version of a big check. What would a version of a big check look like? And this is it. I think
you might want to read a little bit of it to show how self-serving it is to you and Dan.
Well, no, now listen. It cuts both ways. So the purpose of the contract is to establish Joe Everest and Dan Wheeler as his sole social media influencers for the West Coast Finch Show in 2027. They are the best, and there are no others comparable.
I agree.
That's fair. Now, it does say this whimsical arrangement shall commence on January 1, 2024, and shall continue indefinitely until the end of time. So we're locked and loaded into
I don't
this.
plan on dying.
Right. Well, with medical advancements, what they are.
AI, I'll live forever.
Yeah. So then it says, let's see, that we'll post content. The content should be more engaging than watching paint dry, and may include posts, stories, videos, and occasional interpretive dance. Dan, I assume that's you, the interpretive dance part. Okay.
I can do it.
All right. All of content must reflect the West Coast Finch Show branding, which is both dazzling and highly confidential. The influencers agree not to use neon green or other colors that might suggest they are sponsored by a competing circus. So no circuses. We will never be sponsored by a circus. I don't know where neon green came from. I'm good with not wearing neon green. That's fine. The influencers will be compensated handsomely and in keeping with their status. Compensation will be made in U.S. dollars, Bitcoin, royal sovereigns, attaboys, or any combination. So that works for us. The influencers.
Are you really going to read the whole thing?
No, I'm just cherry picking.
He might as well. He's almost done.
We're almost.
You just want me to get a big fan to blow more smoke up you guys' kazoo?
Well, now listen. It does say Either party may terminate the contract with 1,095 days notice.
Don't tell me there's another side.
It's 3 pages.
No.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
And the influencers agree to keep all proprietary information secret, including the top secret recipe for the show's famous fence paint. I don't even know about it. It's so confidential. Unless they want to be risk being chased by fence enthusiasts in trench coats. This agreement is to be in no way publicly viewable, for example, on a live broadcast or displayed in the studio. We're definitely not doing that. Yeah. So, and this is the entire agreement. So it's an entire and utter agreement between the parties and supersedes any previous agreements, including those made over late night discussions or during impromptu fence building competitions. So
I agree.
it sounds pretty well rounded.
Well, welcome to the dysfunctional West Coast Fence Show family.
Oh, guys, like I said, I appreciate it so much. We might as well sign this thing just to make it like super triple official. Let's see. All right. So
Mr. Bailey gets the honor of that.
okay. All right.
Well, I'm not Grand Poobah like you.
No,
Oh,
you are
Grandpa.
of this show, my sir.
Okay.
I'm a former Grand Poobah.
Yeah, you're the original Grand Poobah.
Original.
All right. So I'll go ahead and sign it. Dan, if you want to sign it, and if you'd like to sign, I'm going to sign right here. And we'll date it. We'll date it later because it's very official. Where am I signing? Right here. Right here. Nope. There. Yep. All right. Mr. Bailey.
Okay.
You'll do the honors.
I usually put an X. Is that good?
That's fine.
You
Close
should.
enough.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
We got it on video, so it doesn't matter.
There we are. There we are. Well, it is absolutely official. Official exclusive social media influencers of the West Coast Fence Show till the end of time. So, appreciate it.
Congratulations. Now we
You appear happy
Right,
now,
yeah,
but
right,
you're
yeah.
going to rethink this
Yeah,
later.
yeah, Dan. As fast as they signed that, and with the smiles they signed it with,
No kidding.
we might have stepped in something here. I don't know. No, guys, seriously, it's been really great working with you. It's been really great working with your team. Again, it sounds like I'm thanking you over and over, but that's how appreciative I am.
It's been fun. It's been real.
No,
I
we
like
appreciate you guys big time.
Man, the West Coast is popping now. I like it. These regional trade shows are really taking off. Education is. The excitement is real.
Guys, let's talk about education really quickly because it's important. So let's talk about certifications because, Brad, you shared with me the number of certifications as of yesterday. Where are we at?
We had a few people retest today, so
Okay.
I think we're up to ACI certified 23.
23.
Oh, we tested 23. I'm not sure how many
Okay,
passed.
okay.
I haven't seen Sarah since she's been grading tests.
All right. A decent number of those, though. So talk about, I mean, you can measure success however you want to,
Yeah.
but I was telling on one of the videos earlier, I'd popped into a few of the educational events. They were packed. Bunch of people getting a lot of great knowledge. I mean, Brad, you were presenting. Tony Thornton was presenting. We had a lot of good guys creating a lot of great content. And then the certification icing on the cake is we got 20-something-ish guys certified, ACI certified, in their respective areas. I think that's a win as well.
You bet.
So, all right. Well, guys, looking forward to next year. Let's talk about next year for really quickly. We're going to be back here at the Peppermill.
3 years.
3 years. Next event, 3 years. Yeah, I didn't. You about fell out of your chair. I saw it in your eyes. 3 years.
That's a good thing I was going to tell my wife.
Oh, I hope she's not watching this. I don't
I was
know.
going to say the house and the car.
I'd start totaling it up. 3 years. Next show here at the Peppermill. Still in September 2027.
It'll be a week later.
1 week later in
Be right in the
2027.
middle of September. Yep.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. I tell you what, great time to be in the area. Great time to be in the area, so I'm looking forward to it. Guys, if you weren't able to attend, mark it on your calendars. You've got 3 years, so you've got no excuse for having any sort of conflicts. Make plans to be to the Peppermill. Guys, the word I use for this show is approachable. You can get into the room blocks are very approachable as far as the cost perspective. The airline, the tickets were pretty approachable. The food is 1, great, 2, affordable. So there's no reason not to come. 2027, if you weren't here, you missed it, but continue watching for more content. You can watch my channels here, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. You can also catch Dan Wheeler. Dan, how many podcasts have you recorded so far?
Oh, at least 10, 12.
10 to 12, and
Yeah.
you're probably not done yet. If I
Bangers.
know
No,
you,
I got a couple more than me. Yeah,
I knew
that's
it.
Right.
I knew it. So stay tuned for video content here. Check out the Fence Industry Podcast. Also, shameless plug, TFIP on OZFence.store.
One call gets all, one click gets it quick.
Check out the Fence Industry Podcast for great exclusive interviews with Dan Wheeler. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, West Coast Fence Show, thank you so much. Appreciate all you've done for us. Looking forward to 2027.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, for now, Joe Evers, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors, and we'll see you in 2027.